Welcome to today's special Friday the 13th episode. Instead of talking about scary stories that filmmakers wrote, we ask you to send in your stories. So, let's begin. Bruna, do you want to start?
Sure. So I've got a story here by a person called Anonymous. um, okay, are you ready, Lisa?
I'm ready. I'm really excited and I'm already scared.
Okay. Can I just say before we start, a bunch of my stories have a grandmother element. And just so you know, I'm gonna have a lot of grandma in there. But anyway, so this first one is by a person who asked to be called Anonymous. So Anonymous, thank you very much for your entry. And the story is: my grandma has a big house, one that we have all considered and witnessed to be haunted. The lowest floor is used for parties and celebrations amongst our family, but I would never go down by myself at night because it felt too eerie to me. When I was younger, I used to sleep over at my grandma's house. Everyone was asleep, my sister and cousins, and when I woke up with a pounding headache, I realized that I had left my medicine downstairs, in the lowest floor where we had family lunch in the afternoon. I was dreading going downstairs, but I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep without it.
I don't even want to know what's gonna happen.
Creepy
stuff, okay.
So then I went downstairs. It was pitch black, but I brought my phone with me, serving as a flashlight. Downstairs, my grandma had 3 guest rooms, which were not slept in for a while. They were all dark. As soon as I reached the last step, my fully charged phone turned to 5%, glaring red at me. The hair on my arms and the back of my neck stood. I was fumbling in the dark to find my medicine. I saw a figure of a man in the dark watching me as my flashlight was shining across the room. I ran and climbed the 2 flights of stairs and jumped into bed, vowing to never go there alone in the dark. Whoa.
No thanks. that was really spooky.
I would not want to
I'm
go
always
there.
one of those people that's like, I like horror stuff and scary stories, but I don't at the same time.
Exactly.
I'm glad we're recording this at like 10 in the morning when it's bright. I feel like
Exactly.
I guess we could have done this at night to make it scarier, but I feel like maybe next time we'll go to like a haunted house and read all these, but I probably can't handle it.
I think it would be fun.
Could be. Okay, thank you, Anonymous. I really enjoyed that. So my entry that I've got here, it's not a ghost story as such, but still I found it quite scary. So this is from Emmy. So thank you, Emmy. So I was once on a road trip with my friends Rachel and Kirsty. On the 3rd day, we were driving and we blew a tire an hour and a half into our journey. I'd been asleep and I awoke to the movement of the car sliding and rumbling beneath me. Hazy and still asleep, I thought it was just a bumpy section of road, or maybe we were driving down some gravel track. One look at Rachel's face told me that this was not the case. She started speaking panicked in French. Kirsty in the back responded, again in French, a language I didn't understand. The car careered off to the side and Rachel brought it to a stop. I could hear them mentioning the tires and the two jumped out of the car. I went for the door handle and followed them outside. The smell of burning rubber was instant. Shit, I heard Kirsty say. I glanced at the tire. It looked like it had been slashed with a knife, completely flat.
Whoa.
Do either of you know how to change a tire? No, was the unanimous response. I will walk up to the services back there. It was 2 kilometers, Rachel said. Are you sure? Yeah, Rachel started walking while me and Kirsty waited by the car. Another car came towards us, and on the otherwise desolate highway, Rachel stuck her thumb out and the car slowed. Excuse me, we have a problem with our tire. Can you help us? An Australian accent came from the car. Sorry, mate, I don't know how to change a tire. Please, could you give me a lift up to the services so I can ask for help there? I turned to Kirsty. Is he seriously about to get into a car with a complete stranger? Kirsty shrugged. What else can we do? We don't know how to change a tire, and you have to believe in the goodness of people sometimes, Emmy. Rachel gave us a wave and climbed into the car, and it drove off. It was only 10 in the morning, but this was a foggy stretch of British Columbia's Alaska Highway, and we were stranded here while Rachel took off in a car with a complete stranger. And then another realization. She'd taken the car keys.
Oh.
Me and Kirsty stood on the side of the road. It was late October in northern BC. The ground was smothered with a thick layer of slushy snow. My toes were beginning to sting beneath my boots. My nose turned from the cold. My eyes watered from the relentless wind. There was no phone signal, so we couldn't contact Rachel or anyone else for that matter. We just had to wait. We waited for a long time. My thoughts danced wildly. So this is how I die. This is literally how every horror film ever starts. A group of girls get split up during an unfortunate turn of events and are stranded in the middle of nowhere with no signal and no way out. It's textbook. I looked across at Kirsty. We both barely reached the 5-foot mark and making us the perfect candidates for a kidnapping. And I remember that a few months earlier, a couple driving along this highway had been murdered. We waited. Rachel didn't come back. Every time a car came by, we prayed it would be her, but they never slowed. Eventually, after what seemed like forever, a car pulled in behind ours. It was Rachel, who stepped out with a woman and a young guy. He took a look at the car and said, "Whoa, that's pretty ripped up, huh?" The man said he worked at a gas station 2 kilometers up the road, where Rachel had hitchhiked to. Along with another man, they successfully changed our tire. Instantly, the cold didn't feel quite so bitter, and this road wasn't quite so threatening. Let me tell you, I have 3 daughters, and I can just see the 3 of them wanting to do a road trip like this and getting into trouble. One of the men laughed. So, while one of the scariest experiences of my life, it's safe to say that my faith in good people was absolutely restored that day. And I realized that some of those horror films are just that, films and nothing more. But I also realized maybe I should learn how to change a tire.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it was like obviously a really good ending, but I did find it very scary the whole way through, and I don't think I would have been able to
Oh my god.
to handle that very well.
That scares me more than ghosts, to be honest. Because I don't know, it's just so weird, isn't it? Like, why were the tires, or was the tire slashed?
I think
I do think someone slashed it.
it might have just looked that way, so that might have been another worry on their mind. Rather, because
Yeah.
I'm guessing, considering they didn't die, that no one actually did that to them. But yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, like this is kind of like I find this very scary too, because I think these girls handled it very well. I think I would have just
Yeah.
cried and just like curled up in a ball and just like, just let me die here now.
Exactly.
But I am glad that there were some nice people that saved them. But it is very spooky because while obviously it has a good ending, the fact that also another couple had been murdered, and it's, you do hear this about highways and stuff, it is still a real possibility and a real threat.
Exactly.
I'm all spooked out already, and we still have quite a bit to go.
Okay, so my next one is it's quite big actually, because it is by a woman called Louisa, and apparently she told me that she is able to feel things. I don't know if she's a medium or what those words actually mean, but she can for sure feel presences.
Ooh.
So she sent me quite a lot of stories, and I have some here to tell you. None that involves grandma, so that is that
No
is new
grandma
for
this
me.
time.
Okay, not grandma. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so Louisa says, once I was playing with an Ouija board, of course, and the spirit of a man appeared to me, saying that he was happy that he had finally found me.
What?
Whoa. Yeah, I was confused, and he continued to tell me the story of how we had met. Apparently, we had lived many years ago, and I was the daughter of a sheikh, and had been promised to marry another sheikh that I didn't know. On the day that I was about to get married, I met this man that came to me. He said that when we looked at each other, we actually fell in love. And on the same day, we both died in a fire. And since then, he had always been looking for me.
Ugh.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's kind of romantic at the same time. I don't like it.
It is a bit romantic, yeah, but now look what happens now. I got really scared because he started saying things like he would never leave my side and that he wanted me to die so we could be together. Holy fuck, right?
No, I don't want that.
And then then he told me another previous life that I had, that I was a nurse during war, and because I was a Jew, in the past life, I was taken to a concentration camp in Russia. I later searched for all of the information, and there was actually a concentration camp on the exact same place that he described. So this is story number 1 from Luisa.
Oh my god, that's
I know.
terrifying.
I know.
Also, another reason I've always had this rule that I don't want a Ouija board in my house,
Oh,
and I don't
never.
want my partner to do a Ouija, and I don't want to do one myself. Even if I don't 100% think anything's gonna happen, I just don't want to risk. I don't want to
Yeah,
risk
exactly.
it.
There is the risk. I don't like I don't like the risk. It's too real.
Oh,
Okay, but her second story is, so there was another time that I went to a party at my friend's house, and my friends decided to play with an Ouija
no,
board,
don't
of
do
course.
it.
It, of course, started saying many things, including that it was the devil and it was going to live in the house forever. The cup which we were using as a pointer jumped out of nowhere. I was paralyzed and couldn't move. One of my friends got the cup, ran away and threw the glass on the floor on the street, but it wouldn't break. The neighbor's dog came and started barking like crazy to the cup and to my friend. Ooh.
Louisa needs to stop doing Ouija boards, that's for sure.
Exactly.
This is the risk I'm talking about, that you do not want to.
Apparently, yeah, she says she's never done anything like that again, so that's good. However, like I said, she said that she's a medium, so she can feel things, so not necessarily when she's playing with Ouija board, because her other story is, when I moved to the United States, strange things started to happen. My husband used to see a woman in our house, and soon after I started seeing her as well. During the night, when I would wake up to get the baby's food ready, things would happen. For example, I would pass a room, and when I would come back, all of the chairs would be arranged in another order. But she says she never felt threatened or scared when those things used to happen. What do you think about that?
I don't like it. I mean, I like the
No.
story. Thank you,
Yeah.
Louisa. But I also don't like them.
Yeah, no. The first one for me is the creepiest. Like a man appearing to you saying that he'll never leave you. Oh, for fuck's sake, this is scary.
I want to write. I weirdly want to write a film about it, but it's definitely it's very like the Woman in Black kind of story.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it does fascinate me a bit because I like the idea of reincarnation a bit and that you've lived different lives. But also the fact that then someone from a previous life can find you is just no.
Exactly. Like I have no responsibility for what the previous person or I don't know, previous thing that I was did.
And then also this poor ghost is like all in love with her still and she has no idea who he is. So it's just a bit like this is never gonna work.
It could be like a comedy, like from the ghost perspective, like I was in love for so long and now this person doesn't even recognize me.
Oh.
Or it could be such a horrendous thing like I will never leave you and I want you to die.
Oh. It's not good.
No.
It's either way, it's very, very, very terrifying.
Yep. Okay, so that's it for Luisa. Have you got?
Great stories though.
Yeah.
I did enjoy them, but like obviously nothing to do with her. I just find her stories very scary.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so my next story it's very short,
Mm-hmm.
but very scary. This is from Edith. So she says, when I was a student, I was once walking home from work at night. I noticed a creepy guy who started walking behind me. To check whether he was following me, I crossed the street, which I think is a good idea of her. I
Mm-hmm.
looked back, and the man also crossed the street.
Oh,
So at this
no.
exactly. So at this point, I knew he was following me. So I had to do something. So I started running as fast as I could until I got home. The man started running as well.
Mm.
When I got to my front doors, I had two front doors, both made of glass, so you can see through them. I managed to open the first one and lock it behind me. So I was now standing in the space between the two doors, trying to open the second door.
Oh my God, no.
So as I was opening the second door, I saw the man trying to open the first door. Horrible. I finally managed to open the second door. I locked it behind me, and I ran up to my room and hid in it until the man gave up.
Oh my God. The two stories that you told. Oh my fucking
I know
nightmare.
these are like I I like the combination that you've got some ghost ones and then I have some you could actually get murdered in these situations ones. Oh, this one is definitely one of my biggest fears.
I hate it.
And also like it's really scary that the guy knew where she lived. Obviously, this is years ago, so obviously I guess he didn't come back, but
That is horrendous. I fucking hate those. Like, I used to have like nightmares, like literally nightmares of people entering my house. You already know that I fucking hate home invasion. But the idea of them having that moment of recognition, of he's trying to go in and she's trying to go in the second door, that moment must have been so fucking terrifying.
yeah, and then also like she would have probably just had to lie there all night, just like because you don't want to then look out the window. I guess. Well, I
Yeah,
don't know if she did. I should have asked, I guess, but it's just so scary because it's like you know that he like literally is right outside your door.
I know. And you always think like your house is supposed to protect you, but some houses are so easy to get inside. And that is horrible for me to say, but it is. Some of them only have like one lock. And it's like I can just jump on the door and it will break. So the idea of people being able to go into your house, the place that you're supposed to feel safe, just scares the fuck out of me. Can I share a personal story that's very related to that one?
Oh yeah, of course, if you're happy to share.
So back in Brazil, my house is quite big, and then and Brazil is dangerous, of course, but the city that we're from is very small, so we never really got scared about anything until until we someone came to our house, like a friend or something, and they said that they could see marks on the front door that someone was trying to get in,
Oh my god.
and we were like, what the fuck? And then like no, two other times or three other times someone actually went into our house, but not when we were there.
Oh my
But this
god.
Yeah, exactly. But the story that I really fucking hate is that one day my parents, I don't know, left. They were, I don't know, they went to have dinner or something, and I stayed in. But I think I told you this, I don't know, but every time they would leave and I would be alone, I would be terrified that someone would be inside the house without me knowing because the house was big. So I would always go to my room with a knife. Just be on the computer, using the computer with a knife next to me, just like, in case. Then one day, our dog, Bella, who's like a tiny, tiny dog, she was with me. And then, um, so I don't know, I think it was like midnight. I was like, I'm just gonna go to sleep. And my dad and mom hadn't arrived yet. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to bed with Bella. She was with me, of course. And then she raises her head as if she heard something. I'm like, no, don't do that, Bella. Like, literally, do not do that to me. Because when dogs do that and it's nothing happening. But I'm like, don't do it. Because if there's someone, you're gonna alert a person that we're here. If it's nothing, you're just gonna scare me. So please don't do it. But she, of course, is a dog. So she didn't do what I said. And then I heard like footsteps
Oh my
next to my room.
god.
And I got like I just felt like I was, trembling, like I couldn't, when your whole body just gets hot. And I was like, what do I do now? So I locked my room and I got my dad's phone because he had two, and one of them I was with me with the knife because it was a phone just for us to see the security cameras.
Ah,
So I was checking the security cameras, and I remember like clicking on the buttons and like my hands being trembling. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to make a run for it. Like I'm gonna have to go somewhere. I opened my door, and so when you open the door, you see like a hallway, and then on the right is my parents' bedroom. On the left is the rest of the house. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go because I heard them going into my parents' bedroom. So I'm like, okay, I can just go left and go to the other part of the house and just leave the house. And I kept hearing footsteps. I was holding my dog and the
oh
knife.
god.
And then when I leave my room, I hear footsteps coming the other way as well. So I was surrounded.
Oh my goodness.
And then I'm like, what do I do now? What do I do? And then at the moment that I was about to, like, I don't know, explode with anxiety and fear, my dad comes and he was one of the person walking around. And I got so fucking mad because he and my mom had arrived. I hadn't heard them.
Oh my
I hadn't
god.
heard the car arriving. And I'm like, for fuck's sake, why are you here? Why didn't you tell me you were here? And he just looked at me like, I'm entering my house, excuse me? What? But that moment was so scary. So scary because I didn't know who he was. I for sure thought you were like, I don't know, a few men coming to rob and rape me and kill me.
Especially with all the other occurrences, it's not that weird to think about because I've definitely had similar situations where I thought someone might have been in the house, but that wasn't like in relation to actual break-ins, you
Yeah.
know?
Anyway, sorry I hijacked the other people's stories.
No, it's fine. It was your story was very, very good. Thank you, Edith, for your
Yeah,
super terrifying experience and
exactly.
story. Glad you're okay.
Exactly.
Got another short one, so I'm gonna read that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is by Anonymous. So there was a woman who used to work in my house helping us out. Her name was Mara. She used to be a scaredy cat. If I said her name, she would jump. Sounds a bit like me. And I never actually tried to scare her because I think she would actually have a heart attack. Anyway, a few months ago, she finally told me that the reason that she was always so scared was because she kept seeing people in my house. She said she once saw a man, but he didn't do anything and he just stood there. After my grandma had passed, she told me she used to see my gran around the house. She would never ask or say anything, but she would be there, sitting and knitting. I found it super scary, the fact that there are spirits in my house, but it makes me really happy to know it was my grandmother. In fact, after Mara told me about where she would see my grandma sitting, I started sitting there always to feel closer to her.
Oh,
It's quite sweet. I
that
totally get by Mara. I was like super scared of everything because.
exactly.
Oh my god.
Like you're just there in the house, minding your own business, and then bam.
Just a random figure. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, Anonymous, for the
Yeah.
creepy.
I hope Mara is okay.
Oh my god, including the grandmother related story.
I know.
I wonder why Mara was the only one who could see them.
Yeah, some people have that thing, right? That they're able to see and feel other things.
The Sixth Sense.
Yeah. Oh, let me tell you something. I was at Mariana's house and then we were going to sleep. And you know when you're in that state of almost sleeping, but no, you're not actually sleeping? And then I hear someone in my ear saying my name.
No.
And I woke up and I was like, that's new. And then I told her. And then I told her that and I fell asleep. And the next day she was like, how dare you? Why did you do that to me? You just told me something and you went to sleep. I was awake for hours just praying. I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Actually, that's a really nice way to go into my next story, actually, because it's
Okay.
about sleep, which is another thing that I really never want to happen to me. But thank you,
Mm.
Catherine, so much for sending this in and sharing your stories. So, I've had problems with sleeping ever since I was a child. I had night terrors. My brother said once, when we were still sharing a room, that I sat bolt upright in bed and started screaming. I don't remember this, and I don't think I even woke up, and I must have been 7 based on the shared bedroom. One day, I saw a figure in my room. At the time, I was sure it was a ghost or a supernatural being, but it must have just been a silhouette, so absolutely no detail on the face or clothing or anything. But I remember it looked like a man wearing a hat in the shape of a fez. I don't even know if I even knew what a fez was at the time, but that's how I remember the man looked. I lived with my stepdad at the time, but I was sure it wasn't him. The man didn't move, and in my memory, I just saw him standing by the door. I hid under my covers, and I stayed under there until I fell asleep. Looking back now, I think that was my first episode of sleep paralysis. I've had it a lot since then, and sometimes it's coupled with lucid dreams. It sounds weird, but sometimes I wake up in my lucid dreams and I'm in bed, and everything looks normal. So my memory of hiding under the covers could have been happening in a dream. When I get sleep paralysis, I'm usually drifting in and out of dreams, either lucid or not. An example of my visions when I'm having a sleep paralysis is that once I was in a half awake state and dreaming about a cat, and when I woke up, I saw the cat as a pile of clothes on the chair in front of me. And something I forgot to mention is that I sleep with my eyes open, so I'm pretty sure I sometimes see stuff in real life and I dream about it.
Mm.
My scariest period of sleep paralysis was at uni, first year. To be honest, I was experimenting with drugs, so it might have had something to do with it too. I would get into a state where I was half asleep but fully conscious but could not move or make a sound. I spiraled into panic every single time. Sometimes I'd hear noises, buzzing, or even voices, which would absolutely be terrifying as well. I consciously tried to make noise so that my boyfriend would be able to wake me up. Sometimes he said I was making a humming or groaning sound in my sleep, but from my point of view, I was trying to shout or scream.
Mhm.
The scariest thing was when I would wake up, is that something scary would happen. Like, my boyfriend would say something creepy, or I'd hear a straight noise, and I'd realize I was actually still asleep. And then the paralysis might grip me again. I don't get it as much anymore, and I do think it partly came from drugs and also being sleep deprived. Sometimes when I haven't slept in a while and I'm trying to fall asleep, I drift in and out of paralysis or lucid dreams. But I read somewhere that if you want to get out of a lucid dream, the best thing is to go to sleep in your dream. So that's what I try to do now. And my dream self is more calm and collected these days. So looking back, I think the fez ghost may have been a dressing gown or something that I saw during a lucid dream or sleep paralysis, but I didn't recognize it at the time. So like this story is like I'm really scared of getting sleep paralysis,
Mhm.
and I was saying to the person who sent this in that it's weird because it's not real. It's just you're dreaming, but it seems like you're
Mhm.
awake. Or like she said, it's a silhouette that looks like a pile of clothes or something. But actually, it's probably the closest most of us would get to feeling like you're having a paranormal experience, even if it's just
Yeah,
like your
exactly.
brain being really weird.
Mhm. Yeah. That is crazy. I've always been scared of that as well, but also very interested in that. So I always try to read stuff about it. But because sleep paralysis, you also like you cannot move. You just see things.
I definitely thought that was the scariest part of her story. That she was saying she was trying to get her boyfriend to wake her up, but then he only heard her like making some little sounds while she feels like she's like genuinely like screaming and stuff. And I think
Mhm.
that's quite scary, I think. And I am glad that that's never happened to me because I think
I would never go back to sleep.
I literally just like stay awake forever.
Anyway, shall I read another one?
Yeah, go for
Okay,
it.
this one is very short. It is by Matt. He sent it on Twitter. He said, when I was in Paris, I was on an empty platform of the metro and something once breathed loudly into my ear. I turned around and there was no one there. Bam. Short. Short.
Short but very,
Yeah.
very Terrifying.
Then he said that one time when he worked at a cinema, loads of odd things would happen, including once a gas projectionist who came running down the stairs and refused to go back into the booth. She said, I know, she said that she saw someone, she felt someone grabbing her shoulder. And she was alone in
Oh
there.
my god.
I have two short ones, they're not super big. So I've got one here by Anonymous, and it is grandma themed. So
I'm loving the grandma themes.
I know. Okay, so Anonymous said, right after my grandma died, my family and I went into her house to clean and pack some things. We were all in different rooms. My brother was in her bedroom, my dad in the garage, my mom in the kitchen, and I was in the room that I used to sleep in when I would sleep over. Everything was super quiet and we were all very sad. Then I found a necklace that she used to wear and I decided to keep it. But as I was looking at it, I got really sad and I cried a bit, and at the exact moment, all of the light bulbs in the living room exploded.
Oh, good. Doesn't make me very happy.
No, but I find it cute. Like, what if it's the grandma there, and she's sending a message, like, leave my things alone.
That's a dangerous message to send.
Yeah.
They could have gotten some glass in them. And why do they now have to like go to the shop to fix all the light bulbs? A very rude
Yeah.
grandma.
Yeah, come on.
But all seriousness, I mean, that's what these stories, like, some of them are kind of sweet, but also still just way too scary.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't want my grandma to be sending me these messages.
Yeah, I mean, or send me like a message that's not that scary. So like, I know you're there, but I'm not gonna like not be able to sleep, kind of thing.
Exactly.
It's kind of nice though, I guess, at the same time, that like if people do send messages, if you really miss them. But I wouldn't want. I don't think I'd want the smashing light bulb message. I think it would make me a bit sad.
My last one. This one's a little bit longer, but not that long. So again, by Anonymous. All of these Anonymous that I have are different people. Just so you know, it's not the same person experiencing all of that.
Oh, thank God. Like, otherwise that poor person.
So, one day I was using my computer at 4 a.m., just being a teenager. You know, back in the early 2000s when we would just use the computer without doing anything, just scrolling and talking to strangers in chat rooms. Good times. Well, one day I was just doing my thing, using my computer on my desk, when my glass full of water moved. I saw it at the corner of my eyes and just thought it couldn't have been, so I ignored it. But it kept playing on my mind. Did the cup just move by itself? Then the cup moves again, but not a little bit. It moves from one corner to the desk to another, quite fast. My reaction was just to grab the cup to stop it. But once I did, all of the lights in my room went out. I was scared shitless, and all I could think of was going to bed as fast as I could, but my chair was stuck and I couldn't leave. After a few seconds struggling, which felt like hours, I managed to leave and jumped into bed. The second I got into bed, all of the lights went back on.
What?
How did that person sleep afterwards?
I feel like they must have not slept. And if they did, then I applaud you, because I don't understand how that.
One day I had a dream of Michael Myers, like that I woke up and then I saw the mirror and I could see Michael Myers standing behind me in the mirror, and I was sleeping at a friend's house, and that scared me, of course, and I kicked the mirror and it broke.
Oh my God. Fair enough though.
Yeah. Fast reaction.
Okay, I've got 2 more stories. One non-ghost, one ghost. So a little bit
Little bit of both.
I think. Okay, so first one, anonymous. So when I was 15, my class went on a school trip to Paris. One day we visited one of the beautiful churches in the city. My friend and I were standing around looking at the unlit candles and were considering burning one for one of our loved ones. Looking at the candles in more details, we realized there was a price attached to it, and we weren't carrying any cash. The man who looked like a priest from that church came over to us and started saying something in French. What was a trip for our French class? Our French was very basic, and we didn't understand him. The priest waved us both to come with him. I looked at my friend in confusion, but we both shrugged, and I assumed the priest was gonna get us some candles or something that we could light for free. The priest led us to an empty back room. As we entered the back room, he gestured us to step into another room at the back of it. My friend took a step back and grabbed my hand. She pulled my hand and she started running, so I started running. I was quite happy to follow her, but hadn't quite realized what she was doing. Once we were out of the church, it hit me that the priest was potentially dangerous. I was happy my friend was more alert than I was, but at the same time, maybe we were just being really rude. Either way, glad we never found out.
I would rather be rude than die.
100%. I love that. I love that. Rather be rude than die.
Exactly.
For sure. And I think that is still a sketchy situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is super sketchy.
And if it wasn't, then maybe at least this priest would have learned not to
for sure.
behave. Don't behave like this. Okay, got my final story from Sibel. I was with 3 other friends. We were 17, 16, 14, and 13. Wow, very diverse ages, actually. We were playing with an Ouija board, and it started to answer us. Yeah, stay away from the Ouija board, people.
Of course.
We asked who it was, and it responded saying it was a man, and he kept telling us details about his life. We did some investigating, and found that there was someone who had died who fit that description. Then, we noticed that some red rashes were appearing on my friend's chest. Despite all of that, we were still not convinced and thought maybe one of us was playing a prank on the rest of us and was maybe pushing that piece of the Ouija board. So we decided to keep our hands away from the board, but still ask the questions, and it moved all by itself. And they ended with saying, I never played anything like that again, which I think, very good decision. Oh, those damn Ouija boards, I really don't like them.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Also, the things that came on their friend's face, the red rashes, oh my goodness. Hopefully it was just an allergic reaction to some food, but
I know.
But if not, then I hope that they are okay now.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my god, okay. Thank you everyone for sending your stories. They were all really, really good,
Yeah.
I think. And they're really scary.
Super scary.
Like I said, I'm glad that it's now 11 in the morning here, so I could probably get over my anxiety. So I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite story?
I think it was, I mean, not favorite as in, oh, I really like that, but very effectively scared me.
Oh, the scariest, I guess. Yeah, my favorite is about...
Yeah. Mine was the guy who was following the woman home and tried to go into the house.
That one probably scares me the most. I also actually, the road trip one I found really scary too. And I'm glad I had a really good ending and a very positive one, but everything leading up to that, I totally get that feeling.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, also actually Louise's one with the romantic ghost that came back.
Oh, yes.
Well, it's kind of sweet. I think that is still very scary. I didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no. One of the people who sent anonymously, they sent to me as a voice message.
Oh, God.
And in one of those, you could hear another breathing that wasn't the person who was speaking. And I was like, what is this? Can you please explain? And they were like, oh, I don't know, I'm alone at my house. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, thank you.
God, a scary story within a scary story. No, that's horrible. Okay, so I think we both agree that Edith's story was the scariest one. I mean,
for sure,
there's no prize, so...
No.
And obviously, I don't want to say congratulations, because no one chooses this to happen to them. But thank you for sending it in and terrifying us.
Yes, and thank you everyone who sent anonymously, not anonymously.
Yeah.
And on Twitter, email. personal messages, everything was really appreciated.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. So, thanks for listening to our Friday the 13th special, our first one. The next special like this will come out on Halloween. So, you have quite a while. So, if you have a story to share with us for that, please start sending them to thepowerofpodcompelsyou@gmail.com. And please also let us know in this email if this is an anonymous entry or if you want to include your name. And of course, by sending in your story, you give us consent to use your story on this podcast. So yeah, hopefully we get tons more for next time. I really enjoyed doing this, and I really enjoyed the type of stories we got, and I liked that it was quite a combination of different things.
Yeah, but we can totally see a theme in there: grandmas and Ouija board.
Glad it was a bit of a mixed bag, but obviously, even if you have a story that doesn't fit into any of these, like any scary story, I think that you're happy to share with us. I think we're very grateful to receive, even if I'm now just like shaking shaking after all these stories.
The Power of Pod Compels You is produced and hosted by Bruno Ferreira Lucas and Lisa Gertz, and edited by Lisa Gertz. The music is by Julia Sofia, the artwork by Cibele Ferreira Lucas, and the narration by Bruna. This podcast is hosted on Buzzsprout. If you want to suggest a particular topic or film for us to discuss, then please email us on thepowerofpodcompelsyou@gmail.com or Twitter @powerofpod.